Welcome to our pet prep session for today. And we will be looking at artificial language, otherwise some persons call it foreign language, right? We'll look at what it is about. We'll look at why we need it and how it is used and examples of questions that are exam-based for PEP that are artificial language. Remember, for most questions, or if not every question that we do here, there's at least one of these questions out of the 40 that you will see in the exam. Also, remember, even though it is a one question, we will do at least 10 sample questions and then give you past paper questions to practice and get your answers. So let us get on the ball right now. First question is, what is artificial language? Now, in mental ability tests, an artificial language is a made-up or coded language that is created specifically for that test. It is not a real spoken language, but a set of symbols, words, or rules that are designed to test how well you can analyze patterns, decode the information that you get, and also understand logical relationships. So that is what artificial language is. It's not a real language, it's only used for these tests. Why is artificial language used? It is used in IQ and also aptitude tests to check for logical reasoning in a person, how well they identify patterns or recognize patterns, their ability to learn new rules quickly, and also problem solving without relying on prior knowledge to answer a particular question. So let us look at our first example with artificial language. Artificial words with meaning. For example, sometimes we can pronounce these words. Sometimes we just need to look at it and say, okay, this word, call the letter L-O-P-O. That stands for cat. M-I-R-A, which you could say Myra, stands for dog. Now, if you put it together and you see this language that is talking about Lopomyra, it means cats and dogs. So we know what Lopomyra means because we know what Lopo and Myra means. So when you put it together, you got a word from it. Then the question might also ask you, what is Myra Lopo? Then if Lopomyra means cats and dog, or cat and dog, then Myra Lopo would mean, right, dog and cat. Now we get in there. Here's another example, but this has to do with more symbols. Now, if we have that this shaded triangle represents A, and this shaded circular dot represents B, or let's do circle since we're looking at shades. The shaded circle represents B, and the shaded square represents C. Now the question is, what is triangle, square, circle? That represents, when we decode it based on what we were told what each of these shapes represent, we get A for triangle, C for square, and B for the circle. Moving on, and the third example now, this is how your typical exam questions would look. A little bit more complicated because it's spelled. Now, here are some words that are translated from an artificial language. I am not going to sit down and try to pronounce these words, to be honest, but we're going to look at them and look at how they are designed. First things first, and you're going to have to do this whenever you get these type of questions. You're going to have to find some level of similarity, right? So you're going to look at the first word, and you're going to check what is similar. You're going to look at the first word and you're going to check what is similar with the first word and the second word and the third word. Now, if we look at this artificial word that is right here, we see that it represents fan belt. When we look at this second word, it means ceiling fan. So you're seeing a word repeated here, which is fan. And then the third word here means tile roof, right? Now, when we look at the first two, The information that we're getting is fan and fan. The first part here, we're realizing that G-O-R-B, possibly L, could represent fan because it's at the beginning of the word and also it's at the end of the word where fan is at the end here. So we have this at the beginning, we have this at the beginning of this word, and we have this at the end, and we have fan at the end. So right about there, we pick up that G-O-R-B-L represents fan. That's right. Now the question is asking, understood. The question is asking which word could mean ceiling tile. Now, based on what we have seen the word ceiling, so we realize no, that ceiling means P-I-X-N. That is ceiling. However, what about tile? We realize now that A-R-T-H, possibly T, anything close to that would represent tile. Right? So ceiling is anything which is P-I-X-N, and then anything that has the A-R-T-H, whatever, would have made our answer. One thing you need to note is the location of the artificial word and also the location of the real word. Are these letters, are these words at the beginning? Or are these words at the end? We have to decide and know where the words are located because sometimes they are in the reverse order of how we speak. So you have to watch that. So that's question number 1. Example number 3, sorry. Moving on. Now question number 1, we're gonna do that together also. And it's following the same procedure. So we have this first artificial word. And don't tell me to pronounce aptos. I might spend the whole day trying to pronounce a word that doesn't really exist or doesn't exist. So we're going to look at all the words here, especially the first 2 words, and we're going to pick up what is familiar in both words. Now, based on what I'm seeing, possibly all of this could be base. Or something close, this would represent base, based on what I'm seeing, because it is similar, it has the same spelling in both. And base is at the second part of the real word. So we realize that we're in the normal reading pattern. All right. Now, for base, ball is what we're asked for. So right here, we realize that this word would represent something to that would represent ball, because we have ballpark. So we're going to pull some letters out of that. We don't see anything with TA, right, in the answer, but we see OSE, OSE. So OSE and OSE would represent base. And we're looking for something with OSE, OSE. Based on the information that you have, we have 2 words that we're looking at. This is multiple choice. So we start eliminate this and we eliminate this. So we're focusing on these 2. Let us look at what EPTA, E-P-T-A stands for. And in this case, EPTA stands for second. That's not what we're looking for. Even though we don't see what ball stands for, we know that it has to be this, ARTA. Let me make sure. Base, oh, my bad. Base is OSE, and we're looking for ball. Ball is there, sorry, which is LARTA. So LARTA represents ball. Some of these questions, they don't have the other word that you're looking for, but we use trial and error, we eliminate, right? So that would have been C. D. D. Right, let's move on to question number 2. We have the words here, 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 and we're checking for which one has something in common. We have cloudburst, we have pinball, we have 9-pin. So right away, we realize that pin is a very similar word in both. So we're going to look for something that is very similar here that could help us to represent pin. We found it there. However, the question is asking you for cloud 9. We identify what pin is. 9, right here, 9 is at the beginning of pin. So 9 is at the beginning of pin. So we're looking at something like RESTful here, right? So we're looking for 9 and we're looking for cloud. Cloud is also at the beginning of cloudburst. So we're going to use those. Now, if we're looking for cloud 9, we're looking for something that starts with the HAP, right? We have 2 words there, but because it's 9 and we know that 9 is RESTful, we know that the answer would have been D. All right? I hope you're getting a gist of what we're doing right now. Let's move on. Question number 3. The instructions are the same, so you realize I'm not reading it over and over and over again. Now we have this word, this word, this word. We have poisonous spider, because we know those are English, right? And we have poisonous snake, and we have brown spider. Now we're going to be looking for what is similar, and we find those parts of the artificial language that we're going to identify. So we have poisonous here for the snake and spider. So that's a similar word. But when you look at the beginning of this, we have agno and we have delano. So obviously, it's in the we pick up right away that the word is written in the opposite order, right? So poisonous is at the beginning of the original, the language, the reading language that we know, but the artificial language, poisonous, is at the, sorry. Let me change this to red, which makes it a little bit clearer for you. You don't have to, but let me choose red. So when I mark it, right away you can see it. So poisonous, now we realize it's at the back. And it's at the, all right, no S is in it. So that's agnos. And we realize anything is crania. So that word crania represents poisonous. Now, another thing that we are seeing that is common is the spider, right? Now, if the poisonous is at the back, where do we expect the words for spider, representation of spider, to be? At the front, even though it's at the back of the English word. So at the first word, you realize it's poisonous spider, but realize this is representing the spider in both cases, right? Come over here, so can we realize that is for spider. Now, your word of interest, which word would represent the black widow spider? We know what spider is, and it's supposed to be where? At the front. So anything that represents this would tell us that we're on the road to spider. So you don't guess out of the blue. If you don't know, you will choose any of the other 2 answers, right? And it is black widow. There is no black widow spider here. We know that this one, delano, represents snake. So this is automatically out, and this would have to represent the black widow. All right? Good. Moving on, question number 4. We have this word, we have this word, we have this word. First one represents blue sky. The second one represents bicycle race. The third one will represent blue bicycle. Now we're asked what is for race car. Don't worry about that, because we always focus on what we have and what we know from it, and then we worry about the question, right? So what is common up here that we're seeing? We're seeing blue being common and also bicycle. So we're going to eliminate those. So if blue is common, it's at the front here and it's at the front here. So I think this molo, please don't let me pronounce these words. Don't try to kill yourself over them either. So that is representing blue. Let me get something else to represent the bicycle. Now, the bicycle is at the beginning of this and it's at the end of this. So we're picking up that Wilco represents the bicycle, right? And because Wilco is representing the bicycle and Mulo is representing blue, we're going to look at race car, which has nothing to do with any of those that we're doing. But we realize right away that Spady, which is this, or Spady, represents race. So right away, we pick up what represents race, which is this. Car, we don't have no car there, so we are gonna work with that. All right. So race is spotty. Anything that has to do with spotty would be one of our options. But we have this word already, which is Wilco, which is bicycle. So we're not looking for bicycle race. Our bicycle race is spotty. We're not looking for that. We're looking for race car. So spotty has to be at the front. It won't be Wilco. So it has to be spotty volo. You're not gonna stop me with those thunders. I'm doing my video. All right, good. So question number 5. We have a word here, here, right? Hold for me. Right. The first word is representing cupboard. The second one represents boardwalk, and the third one represents your pullman, right? So we're gonna try to find out what is common. Cup, board, boardwalk, pullman. All right. Let's see what is common. Board is common here. Nothing else is common. So we're gonna see what board is represented by. And right away, I realize that this is what is representing board, because board is at the beginning here and it's at the end right here. So that's fine. So the order is okay for us. Now there is walk would be this. So this would represent walk. Way, we don't have no way. So we're gonna look at walkway, and this point should be at the front. So we're looking at these two, right? So which one is gonna represent way? M-I-G-E-N, we have seen it here and it did not represent way, it represented cup. So obviously this one is out. So it has to be D. All right, good. Moving on, question number 6. We have this word here. The first word, the second word, the third word. So we have basketball court, courtroom, and placement test. Right away, we realize that we have court, which is the common word here. So we're gonna see what is representing court. Court is at the front and it's at the back. So that word is representing court. Now, what represents room? S-T-R-I-S-I would represent your room, because the question is asking you for a guest room. Okay, so guest room. I don't know what is representing guest, but I know what's representing room. So I'm looking for anything that has this at the end, which we have 3. So this is a little bit more complicated right now. But what is going to represent guests? Let's see what these are representing. P-E-S-L represents basketball. Nah, that's out. V-O-S-E-F, we have not seen that there, but we have seen O-L-T-A. O-L-T-A, which is placement, right? So right away, we realize that those two are out. So B would have been your answer. And this is fun. Once you get a gist of it, you like it and you literally understand it. It's this language, right? So question number 7. We have this first word, the second word, the third word also. The first word represents blue light. The second one represents blueberry. The third represents raspberry. Now, common words are there. We have blue, that is common, and we have berry. So this is nice. So blue is at the beginning here and at the beginning here. So right away, I can pick up that this is representing blue, right? And berry is at the back of these. So I'm picking up that these are representing berry. T-I-F-L is representing berry. Now, we're asked for lighthouse. Lighthouse. So now we see light, but we realize this would represent light. There is no house there, so we're gonna have to pick up. Because light is at the beginning here, it was at the end, we're looking for anything that has P-I-M-L at the beginning. So we're focusing on this and this. All right. So let's see what these represent. A-R-P-A-N. It is here, and it represents RAS. So we don't need that. Because we don't know what is representing house, we're going to have to work with this. All right? Good. Question number 8. Here we have 3 words again. The first word represents militant. The second one represents occupied. And the third word represents occupation. Right? Which word could represent occupants? Let's just go back to the top. Now, occu and occu is there. So we're looking for something that is going to be similar, either at the front or at the back. Right away, we realize that, okay, this is at the front. So this is supposed to represent occu, and this possibly representing occu, right? Maybe the NL included. So let's try that. Well, yeah, we can't go wrong, right? Not like that. Now that we have identified what is occu, we need the ant. So this represents occu with the P, right? So now we need ant. Now, based on what you're seeing here, there's a possibility that this word represents ant. Mint represents ant. All right, so let's put them together. So we need occupant. So we're looking with anything with U-F-T-O-N. U-F-T-O-N. Well, it's only one word there. A. So that means this A-M-A-M-I-N-T represents tant. So this would have been the answer. And it's the only one beginning with the U-F-T-O. So right away, we get some multiple choice that sometimes we can just breeze through fast. Don't have to spend much time on that one, all right? Now let's move on. Number 9. We have 3 words again here. The first one represents birdhouse. The second one represents bluebird, and the third represents bluebell. Now the birdhouse, bird is a common thing there, and also blue. So let us pick up where bird is. It's at the front, and it's at the back. So that's bird. Blue, and I'm going to use blue. This is pretty blue. I'm going to use blue at the front and at the front. So that's blue. All right. Now, our question is house guest. So now if this and this is, was it bird? No, that means this part here, Q-U-A-T, represents the house. And it's only one there. So right away, our C is the answer. You see how quick that one was? Moving on. Number 10. And this is the last question, by the way. So we have 3 words here. The first one represents carefree. The other one is careful. And the last one is careless. Now, the care is a common word in all 3. So we have to look for what seems common and where it is located. Now, in the real word, the English word, care is at the front, but in the artificial word, the word that represents care is at the back. So when we do our answer, if care is at the front, we're going to have to put it at the back. If it's at the back, we put it at the front. All right? Now, look at this word. We're looking for aftercare. Remember, care was at the front here, but in the artificial word, it was represented at the back. Now that care is at the back here, we're looking for what is going to represent care at the front, and it's tega. Not me calling artificial words. Tega. All right? So we have 2 that are representing tega here. Let's look if there's any that is common already. If we look for F-E-R or Z-E-N, we have F-E-R here, which means careless. All right, so that wouldn't be the one that we're gonna look at, so we can take it out. but we don't want the FER one because we don't know what after means. So therefore, your answer would have to be C. All right. Wow, that was refreshing. So there are actual past paper questions once you are registered to our Google Classroom, where the link is in the video below. You can register to our Google Classroom and actually touch on some actual past paper questions. You will actually get practice questions, quizzes that you can do from the link in Google Classroom. So I'll see you there. Enjoy your day and let us keep practicing for our PEP exams. Thank you.